I'm in North Bend, Washington right now. This is actually one of the first places I visited at the beginning of the pandemic. This was when things were slowing down, but we hadn't locked down yet. And what's really sad is that this used to be an ice cream shop, and it closed. At the time, in March when I came here, March 2020 when I came here, we hadn't locked down the state yet, and this was still not as busy as before, but it was open. And I was looking for other work I could do because I had lost a lot of students. I'm a professor, and I looked to apply for a job here, if I remember correctly. I interviewed with them, but unfortunately they closed before I got to hear back, obviously. What I liked around that time was that, you know, I would never think of working at an ice cream shop because I avoid stuff like that. I react badly to milk. But at the time, people were wearing gloves and masks, and so it seemed more feasible to do stuff like that. And I wanted to network with some people. You got to remember, back in March of 2020, I had just broken up with my girlfriend because of all the social distancing problems. She lives with elderly family members, and I was lost in thought at the time. It was during the trip here that I learned from another customer. He had walked in and started explaining about why he thought almost everybody in King County was going to get COVID-19. He did a bunch of math saying that, well, we already had 4 deaths, and he said that the death rate was 1 in 1,000 or something like that. So there must be 4,000 cases, and it took a number of weeks for people to die of COVID-19. So that was 6 weeks ago when we had 4,000 cases, and the cases were doubling every however many days. And so he showed me a bunch of math telling me that practically everybody in King County was going to get COVID-19 at one point or another. At the time, I didn't realize it, but I had already recovered from COVID-19. And so that was that. So it brings great sadness to see that shop close, because that was where I first learned about the magnitude of the COVID-19 pandemic. I was lost in thought at the time, so I wasn't really enjoying my conversation with the owner, with the other customer in there. I really wasn't, because I was so lost in thought about losing connections to everybody. And after that, I went home and I wrote a backgammon AI. I already had one from years ago, but it was terrible. I started from scratch again. And the following day, I went to downtown Seattle to view the effects of COVID-19. Right, empty streets. I took some photos of that, and later that year, I went to the Chaz protest in downtown Seattle, and eventually I moved out of Seattle altogether. You guys saw I spent some time in the Rocky Mountains, and I really love how I didn't have to answer to anybody. You know, sometimes when things are flowing too fast, right, you got a face-to-face conversation when you're negotiating something. I suck at those really fast-paced environments. You know, when I keep regretting things I didn't negotiate at my workplace, or when I was buying my car, or even the girl that I had to break up with because of this whole COVID-19 situation. There are times when things come at me too fast, faster than I could chug it down, and I mess up. I got to admit that. When it's happening remotely, everything seems like it's happening at a slower pace. I make much fewer mistakes when I work remotely. See, I do tutoring. And earlier this week, I had a snafu where I got schedules mixed up, and I completely forgot about this one student. And see, if it were happening in person, I might have reacted improperly to that. But I just explained that I apologize. You know, I had really bad Wi-Fi connectivity. What really helped my case was that I was actually on the road, And so I pulled into a Starbucks to work with him, and I told him that I had really bad connectivity at home, and he could see the Starbucks in the background. So that really made a whole lot of sense to him. See, when things are happening at a slower pace and I can strategize, I do a whole lot better. And I'm really saddened to see. I went to a Walmart earlier this week, and nobody was wearing a mask. And it's just really sad to see, because I really thrived in this kind of environment. I wish people would keep their distance, at least from a mental point of view, right? Don't treat people like they're close to you, right? I really suck when I have so going back to the tutoring that I do, I really suck when the student or their parents get too close to me, right? When they start treating me almost like an extension of the family. At my workplace, sometimes people get too close, right? I used to have a boss who just became too friendly with me to really negotiate anything, right? See, we need to keep that kind of social distance. Maybe we can be within 6 feet, but we need to keep some mental social distance, right? Anyway, stay 6 feet away from me, at least mentally. Thanks for watching.